10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Welcome to day 3 of the Jimmie Oakman social media takeover, taking over all channels of the Rising Coaches, social, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, all of it. Jimmy is in control all week long. It's day 3. He's still here with us, despite a long night at the Yankees-Red Sox game last night.
Indeed.
He's joining us live from Boston in a hotel room. What dedication, Jimmy. I love it. What's up, man?
Oh, man, this is great. We're mobile. We're on the move. You know, part 1 today is in Boston, and we'll finish at the nightcap in New York. So, you know, we're becoming, you know, statewide everywhere. So coming to you.
I love it. Taking the show on the road.
That's it.
Yes, lots to talk about today. We'll get to all of it shortly. But a quick recap, as Jimmy mentioned, he's finishing the nightcap in New York. What is the nightcap? It is at 6 Eastern. It is Jimmie Oakman with a members-only Zoom. Head to the member site for that Zoom link. And he will be going over end-of-game situations, special situations. It should be fun, right?
Yeah, no, I'm excited. That's probably one of my favorite topics to really cover with coaches. You know, I put a lot of time and pride into that stuff. And I think, you know, I like doing it because I like to steal stuff too. So it makes you look smart. But there's a lot of stuff in the NBA, EuroLeague. You can find stuff all over the place that you can, you know, add to your package no matter what level you're at. So I'm excited.
I love it. I got a little sneak peek yesterday of the edit that Jimmy put together, and it's pretty good. It's going to be really good. I'm looking forward to it. Also, we capped up the Women's Empowerment Series last night. It was a 2-night series put on by our DEI Alliance. It was unbelievable. 2 great nights with fantastic panels, administrators, agents, former head coaches, current head coaches, and moderated by former Liberty legend, WNBA legend, Kim Hampton. And it was really great. We had a great group of people on the Zoom with us. They were involved, they were engaged, asked great questions, and our panelists were just fantastic. If you missed it, no worries. Head to our YouTube page, or you can go to risingcoaches.com, and day 2 is on there. Or if you want to see both day 1 and day 2, head to our YouTube page to watch those. It was really first rate Rising Coaches content for you right there.
I was pretty bummed that I missed out last night. I was there for obviously day 1, but I got to go back and check out day 2. Unfortunately, I won't be able to ask any questions, but it was day 1 was awesome.
No, it was, and yeah, yesterday was even better. And it was cool to have the perspective, you know, of 2 sitting administrators, the AD at Stony Brook and the COO of Kennesaw State. You know, just the perspective that they're able to give. They're actively hiring people. On day 1, we had Dr. McCree, who's the AD at North Carolina Central, and so just the insight to get the peek behind the curtain of what decision makers are thinking and looking for is invaluable. Also, we've got next up another DEI initiative. This is our head coach training initiative led this year by Herb Courtney of Renaissance Search. He is one of the fastest rising stars in the search firm space. And each of our DEI organizations, we've got a dozen. They each nominated 2 coaches. We had a committee that narrowed it down to 12 participants. And those 12 participants will tip off tonight. This is not something you guys can watch or anything, and just let you know what's going on in the world. Basically, they will have an opportunity to do a one-on-one mock interview with Herb Courtney of Renaissance Search. They will get the recording of the interview. They'll get feedback directly after from Herb Courtney. It's an experience that you can't replicate or get anywhere else. These search firm people are hard to get a hold of. It's not like you can just schedule a time to sit down with them. So this is a great opportunity, and the proof's in the pudding, right? Because we did it last year, and of the 12 people, 3 ended up with head coaching jobs this spring. So a great success rate, great initiative. We're very excited for it. So happy for those participants, those finalists, and appreciative of our DEI staff, Daryl Jacobs, Brian Burton, and Kim Hampton. as well as the organizations that make up the DEI Alliance for all of their hard work getting us ready for this day. So next up begins today. That's exciting. And then the poll question, today's poll question, do you like to watch film the night of the game, right after the game, or do you save it for the next day? Do you watch film? And I'll start us off here. I don't mind. I had no consistency with this when I was a coach. Sometimes if we got killed, sometimes I would be like, oh, I got to watch this right away and see what happens. Other times we'd get killed so bad, I'd be like, I'm just going to watch this tomorrow. Like, fuck it. And then other times, same thing with the win. Sometimes like we'd win and I'd be like, I don't need to watch this right now. I can wait till tomorrow. Like all is good. We won. And then other times I'd want to bask in the glory. And so, it's like, come on, run it back. Let's watch it again. Let's watch it 3 times tonight. So
make a few highlight reels.
Yeah, I wish I had more consistency with it. I will share this though. We had one thing at Clemson that I really liked. We were with a guy, Josh Pastorino, and Trey will. I probably should save this story for Trey. Maybe I will. I'll tell the story of Josh Pastorino's rule once Trey gets on the line. He's going to join us. Trey Meyer, head coach of Battleground Academy, will be joining us at a quarter till. And in just 10, 15 minutes, we'll be joined by Adam Bowman, director of scouting and analytics for the University of Alabama. So 2 great guests, good friends, great coaches. Actually, I said that the wrong way. Good coaches, great friends, great people. And we're excited to see them here shortly. Jimmie, wow, that was a mouthful. Jimmie, welcome. The more important poll question was the over-under of beers that you would consume yesterday. I set the over-under at 5.
We went under.
Based on your voice, I can say we probably went well over, but we'll let the fans decide.
There was a lot of yelling yesterday. There was a lot of yelling in the crowd.
How was the game? How was it? Tell us about the Red Sox Yankees experience.
Just for being obviously involved in sports and being a coach, that's the atmosphere I think we all strive to have. And there's nothing like Red Sox Yankees in a meaningful game, nonetheless. With the home team winning too, like obviously I'm a Red Sox fan, but just seeing the crowd, like we didn't sit down one time the whole night. The place was just electric and just a great environment to be in, whether you really have a rooting interest or not. People on, watching the game at home were saying the cameras were shaking during the game because it was so loud and ruckus. Like, I loved every second of it. The wind didn't hurt either. Made this thing on the cost of the tickets a little bit easier on me, but it was fun. It was really fun.
Did you have good seats, Jimmie? Where'd you sit?
We did. We were in the first row above, first row in Loge. So like the point of view for a baseball game, that's where it's ideal. And we had a front row, so nobody could even walk in front of us where we were. So honestly, if you could pick any seat, that's probably one of the seats I would pick.
That's awesome. And who'd you go with?
I went with one of my best friends I grew up with, so it was cool coming back to Boston and catching up with him. And we actually grew up playing baseball together too. So a lot of stories we were able to rehash, and just being at Fenway again, it's it brings you really back. And like I said, we don't really come back here often. And to be able to go to a game with someone you grew up with and spend a lot of time with, especially on a field, and then to go to a game, something meaningful, was pretty special.
Jimmie, is it true that you were like a better baseball player? Tell us about your playing career while we're on it. Let's get to this.
Yeah, I was a better baseball player for sure. I played up until I was probably 23-ish, 24. So, not to relive glory, but I pitched and played middle infield and, all over really, but that was definitely my primary sport. But I love to get out there and, play football, baseball, basketball, whatever I can do to be active, I'm trying to do. So.
What position? Give us the scouting report. What position could you hit the ball? Were you a defensive specialist, utility guy? What do we got?
So, the last team I was really on, I was a closer. And for the most part, I either played short or second my whole life. I was much more high on base percentage, really good contact hitter, not a lot of power. As I got older, I didn't have as much power as I did when I was younger. Good fielder, good strong arm. a lot of my curveball, probably too much on the mound, but didn't have too high end of velocity. I could probably throw harder now, but that's about the scouting report I got.
I love it. Well, I guess speaking of scouting reports, this is a good natural segue.
Yeah, man, that was beautiful.
Yeah, right. Seamless. We're going to talk a little bit about player evaluation. It's one of those topics that people like. Everyone's got their own opinions.
We got to answer the poll question. We got to get to the poll question.
Oh, yeah, please. Yeah, please.
I have a strong opinion on this, and that's the only reason I want to get to it. And I don't watch film post game. I won't. And something I think is crazy. The more college coaches I talk to is like their staff will watch the game together, like after a loss, and that's blasphemy to me. Like I would, like that would be absolutely insane to me. I'm like, if there's a head coach on here listening, don't do that, because all I hear about is your staff complaining about you and they hate you behind your back for that. So don't do that. Don't be that guy or lady that sits in, your office until 1:30 in the morning, rewinding the same clip 4 times, wondering what your player was thinking. Like, you have no idea. Like, wait till tomorrow. Let your staff go home. Take the pizza with you. Enjoy the rest of the night, and get back to it tomorrow. The game's not going anywhere. I can't watch it unless we have like a back-to-back, and that's specific at the NBA level. But yeah, no way I'm watching it at night. No chance.
Yeah, but I think if you talk to some head coaches and really dig into it, I think first of all, they probably can't sleep. I get a little taste of this, not that I'm a head coach, but I run a business, and so everything that I've heard about taking over and being a head coach, I've been able to apply. There's direct correlation between that and running a business, and that shit keeps you up at night. It just does. Like, so I would imagine, the mindset is probably like, I'm not sleeping anyways. I might as well watch it now.
I think there's something to it. Like for me, it's like you got to worry about the things you can control, like not the outcome. Like, did we prepare properly? Did we give the right information to the guys? Not about like, we missed a 3-on-1 layup. Like, it is what it is. Like, people get so stressed out about the results based on this thing. And I'm like, well, what'd you do leading up to the practice? Were your players in peak performance, ready to compete? And worry about that stuff. And if you start worrying about the process, more about the results, I think you'll sleep better at night. And we kind of talked about before, I think college coaches just rely so much on the wins and losses rather than the long-term plan. And I think it kind of goes hand in hand with not being able to sleep.
For sure. Yeah, for sure. But there is also the strategy that unveils itself a little bit throughout the film process, where you see like, oh man, like they switched up their ball screen coverage and I didn't make the right adjustment. I guess at the NBA level, that so much of that is on the players and their reads and their ability. But, at the college level, and I know it's at the NBA level too, there's so much, strategy that like in adjustments that maybe you miss, during the speed of the game, that you go back and watch on film and you're like, oh shit, I should have really done this here, or I should have called this play, or we should have made this adjustment. But I'm totally with you when you like watch the clip over and over, like, what was he thinking? Why did he do this? Like, it
kills me.
No. And then you show up the next day and you hate the kid.
Yeah, right. You went to bed thinking about this kid blew the rotation purposefully to spite you or something. That's not what happened. Like,
exactly.
He's not.
You show up the next day staring the kid down, and the kid's like, "What did I do?"
He has no idea what he's in for. He's in for the morning lift, and you're sitting there eyeballing at 6:45. Like, you can't be doing that. Like, there's no way to live.
No doubt. I think there's also we got to keep going with this because I think like the group, the whole staff watching the game after. Fortunately for me, I don't know that I was ever really a part of a staff that did that consistently, but I know that there's staffs that do that every single game, every single night.
That's insane.
It does seem insane to me. I do think there's something probably like therapeutic for the head coach for that. Like you can feel so isolated, especially after a loss. And so I get like wanting to be in there with everybody, make everyone misery loves company, right? Make everybody go through it together.
You're in misery.
Some staffs like get a case of beer and they'll hang out, watch it together. I don't know that makes it better or worse, but thoughts on that?
No, I mean, I just struggle with it, man. Like, because I know being in a group setting when tension, like it's tight or whatever, like some people aren't even going to say anything because they don't want to be there. So you're not getting the most benefit out of what the coach wants. Like I get the therapeutic. It's kind of like, drinking a beer. Yeah, it's not good for you, but you kind of want it anyways. Like the coach is going to do it anyways, just because that's what he wants and thinks it's the right thing. But I think whatever you do, you got to be consistent with it. Like it can't be, we won, we're going to meet. We lost, we're not going to meet, or vice versa.
Yes.
And I think consistency is everything for players alike. But I just struggle. I think the coaches that overthink the film are the ones that didn't come prepared enough for the game as it was. And the more I see it, it's just like, well, you don't know, if you don't know what beat you in the moment of the game, probably shouldn't be coaching that game.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. The other thing I don't like about it is, like watching film is such like a personal thing, not in terms of like,
yes,
you need to be alone with your feelings, but like everybody watches film differently.
Right.
There's stuff that I want to rewind and rewatch. And if we're watching in a group setting and the head coach has the remote, like, okay, we're just skipping by that. Like, no, that was really important to me. And then there may be something that they hash on forever. And I'm like, okay, whatever. Like, we didn't work on it. What do you want to do? We didn't work on it. Let's keep going.
They threw a triangle 2 at us, coach. Like, we weren't prepared for that. Like, I don't know what to tell you. We can't watch the defense anymore here.
Yeah, exactly. So, I'm with you. It's one of those things that is like a puzzlement, but I do think a lot of it is just like it makes the head coach feel better. It's probably real isolating and it sucks to be the boss at times, and so sitting there making your staff watch it after the loss probably makes them feel a little bit better, but I don't know how productive it actually is.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Well, excuse me. We're going to bring in our guest, our first guest today, Director of Scouting and Analytics at the University of Alabama, Roll Tide. His name is Adam Bowman. He's joining us here as soon as I can figure out how to press the button. Hang in there, Coach. We're coming. Here we go. Man, struggling today. That's not it either. Here he is. Coach Bowman. Welcome. Good morning. Welcome
How we doing?
to the Jimmie Oakman Takeover.
What's up, brother?
What's going on?
Good to see you, man. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. Off day. Enjoying the off days when we can get them. Getting a lot of stuff done today.
Checking things off the to-do list, I imagine, on an off day.
That's right.
How many practices you guys in already?
We are 6 in. Did a scrimmage on Saturday, inter-squad scrimmage on Saturday. So
nice.
Been doing some cleanups from that, and got a coaching clinic this weekend. So we're in full force right now.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. If you're in the area, head to Tuscaloosa ASAP for the coaching clinic on Saturday, correct? Saturday?
Yeah. Yep.
Beautiful. Still time to sign up?
Still time to sign up. We'll take registration up until it starts. So
Coach Bowman's not going to turn you away. Just show up at Tuscaloosa. We'll get you in there.
That's right.
I love it. All right, Adam, we're going to have you chime in on the poll question before we get into anything further. Do you watch film after the game or do you save it for the next day?
After the game. Usually, our practice time is in the morning. So we kind of have to watch it after the game because usually it's, typically 8 a.m., 9 a.m. practice. So don't really have time unless you get up at 4 a.m. and I'm not doing that. So I'd rather stay up till 1 or 2 in the morning and get the cleanups done. And then that way it's all done. It's fresh in your head. So I would prefer right after the game.
I love it. Do you guys watch as a staff or you guys do your own thing?
No, it's all individual. So we have an offense and defensive coordinator. Defensive coordinator goes back and does defensive cleanup, and then offense goes back and does offensive cleanup, and we kind of do it that way.
Okay, nice. So good. We were just lamenting about the staffs that make everybody stay after the game and watch together.
I've been there. It's not ideal.
What thoughts are going through your head?
Golly, there's been so many early mornings, 3, 4 in the morning, watching as a staff, and like you're trying to grade every possession. And it's like, what are we doing? Like, I could have had this thing done in half the time. Just I mean, obviously, I'm sure there's some good because you get conversations. Your staff is talking about stuff as you're watching it, but it also, takes twice as long, maybe 3 times as long to actually get through the game because of it. Because as you know, most staffs can get off on a tangent and completely forget about the game for 5 or 10 minutes at a time too. So yeah.
Was there at least beer in those film sessions?
That's a good question. At times, yeah. At times, absolutely. Sometimes that's the only way you can get through it.
I love it. No doubt. All right. Well, we wanted to talk a little bit about player evaluations. Want both of you guys to chime in on this. It's one of those topics that I think everyone has their own thoughts on, but certainly the best programs and the best organizations have it down to a science, and they know what they're looking for, and they don't miss often. Yeah, maybe Adam, you can start us off here, and then Jimmie, you can follow up. But you guys certainly have a distinct style of play there at Alabama. You guys play fast. Coach Oates has played fast even at Buffalo. So I imagine that lends itself to like what you're looking for when it comes time to evaluate. Yeah.
Obviously, first and foremost, like we look for high character kids. Like it's at this level, you kind of you're going to have your pick of like the top level guys, or we go after top level guys. So which ones have high character, which ones have baggage? I think that's an easy way to eliminate some guys. And then from there, positions 1 through 4 have to be able to shoot the basketball unless they're extremely dynamic, at their position, whether it's, a point guard who's just a major problem getting in the paint and he can create for others, then I think you sacrifice a little shooting there. But first and foremost, it starts with shooting. Obviously, with the amount of threes we take, that is kind of paramount. And then from there, it's like length and athleticism for us. I think the biggest difference between year 1 and year 2 for us was recruiting. Like we had longer, more athletic guys. And that was, there's no question our defense was out of the top 100 our first year, and we were in the top 5 last year. And that all had to do with recruiting, length, and athleticism. I think sometimes it gets made out to be more than what it is. And that's kind of what we look for. We went from, Kyra Lewis, obviously, who was a lottery pick and a really good basketball player, but he was on the smaller side. And then also we had Beetle Bolden, who was 5'10", 5'11" on a good day, and 165 pounds soaking wet. And we love Beetle, but it just like he was small. So then we went to like a Keon Ellis, who was 6'5", 6'6", with a longer wingspan. Josh Primo, lottery pick, who is 6'6", long and extremely high character kid. Like that's the difference. You know what I mean? And obviously we had other pieces, Herb Jones, John Petty, all those guys, but we had length and positional size and athleticism all across the floor.
Jimmie, thoughts?
No, I think, not being in a college game anymore, watching them, they've done it the right way. Like that's the blueprint for the professional level, spacing the floor. 4 guys that can space the floor at least. If your 5 can, that's a bonus. Doesn't need to, but you got to be able to play with space and occupy it. And I think the biggest thing with player evaluation is evaluating players specific to your system. And, I think what Adam's talking about is very much, I think, how probably 28 teams of the 30 in the NBA look at it too. But, if you're running, the triangle and you're posting up multiple guys in your offense, like that's going to be a different skill set that you need to evaluate for. It can't just be, getting athleticism where IQ might need to be more supreme. So I think that's the biggest part for me when I evaluate players now. It's just like, all right, this is what they are. What could they be in our system? Because if you don't have an answer for it, it's going to be really hard to recreate a role. Like you said, that unless they have like a dynamic ability to, someone that's unique, like a foreman that can really facilitate, that's, unique. And those situations come up every now and then, and, talent and you hope character override that. But I think by and large, you want to space the floor and maximize that as best you can and fit it to your system. And that's, player evaluation meshes with scouting and your offensive system. So,
Hey, you guys talk about character being, number one for you guys. Is that just a feel, or are you putting them through some sort of evaluation with that? I mean, obviously you're getting to know the kid, you're talking to everybody around them, but like I've heard of some programs giving kids like personality assessments and things like that. I know you guys work with what is Arnie's title? He's director of team culture or something. You have
Yeah,
a
yeah.
you guys got a guy.
We got a guy. We got a guy for that.
So are they meeting with him? Like how are you guys determining the character before, because it's hard until you're around them every day. It's hard to really know.
Yeah, I would say in recruiting, we don't necessarily do the player assessments and stuff, probably more like the NBA does, where they're doing that stuff when they come for their workouts in the summertime and stuff like that. We're trying to recruit the kid to come there, so we don't really want to put them through too much of the personality stuff and like red flags come up, But we do try to. I mean, I think our assistants, Brian Hodgson and Petway and Charlie and Coach, I think they do a really good job at like getting to know the people around the kid. They really get to know the kid, and I mean, there's red flags and everything. If a guy is not responsive in text or not not a great personality. I mean, there's different stuff that can come up, throughout the recruitment process that could be red flags. And I think that's why, this past year, I think not being able to get out and see guys live is, I think you're going to see, I mean, transfers all over the place right now, but it's going to be, I think there's going to be some misevaluations with character, because a lot of that stuff you can see in person when you go see him, how he responds to coaching, when in July in the AU circuit and all that type of stuff. You can't see that on film necessarily. So, but I think it really just comes down to asking a lot of questions to the kids and really trying to get to know them rather than recruiting them.
Yeah, it's great stuff. Jimmie, talk to us a little bit about like the personality aside, the basketball part of it. Like, what are you guys looking for? What are the things that like right away you're trying to take note of and determine? And then I want to get into some of the old school stuff that's really funny that some people believe in.
Yeah. So for me, like very hyper specific, like I think all the scouts in the organization, everybody looks at it differently. Like we're all, we all see the game different. How we look at players is different. Our evaluation is going to be drastically different across the board. For me, like I try to find out, like quickly paint a broad picture of what this guy is. Like body, size, length, athleticism. What does he project if he steps on an NBA court? What does that allow him to do? Like basically defensively, like who could he match up with physically? Like you can kind of gauge within position, kind of where he might be. Like, he's a 4. Can you defend 5s? Can you defend 3s? Like, not that we have those numbers, but what's his, variability that he can shift with our defense? And then quickly skill wise, like, is he going to be a guy that we trust with the ball in his hands or not? And you can kind of figure that out pretty quickly. And how well does he shoot the ball? Those, through 4, those pretty much going to be the same. And then your 5 men, they're pretty, specific now in the NBA. Like, is he a rim protector? Well, if he's not a rim protector, then he's going to be able to space the floor offensively, because, if he's not a rim protector, he's probably not going to be a rim roller either. So you don't throw the ball inside anymore. So forget the low post game. It really whittles it down for the 5 men, at least at this level. But the perimeter guys, I think you're just trying to figure out maybe specific to point guards' decision-making skills and put them in situations that really challenge, how they perceive the game and challenge them mentally and see their thought process on things. And some guys just have an ability that you can't teach. And those are guys that I love, that just go out there and read situations and can, look guys off and stuff that, they've had that ability. Now it's just a matter of when the game speeds up, how do they make those reads in the real-time moment? And you want guys to take some chances and stuff too, so turnovers aren't always bad, and especially in workouts that we have in the summer with guys. And there's a lot of different ways to look at it, but I think initially for me, it's looking at the body and figuring that part out.
Yeah, one thing that you hear a lot of is like when it's evaluating, everyone gets wowed by like the skill level, maybe the basketball IQ, and then you get into the season and you're complaining about lack of toughness. So how much do you guys take into like competitiveness when you're like evaluating guys? Because we've all seen examples of like, I'll use like an old school one, but like Dennis Rodman, like couldn't shoot the ball in the ocean, but the dude impacts the game in so many ways. Like, would you, if you're sitting there putting yourself in that position, are you like, would you take a guy like that? How much does toughness, competitiveness play into what you guys look for?
Yeah, I'll let Adam go first. I'm very curious.
Yeah, I think if you look back on our teams at Buffalo and here, we always had a junkyard dog on our team. I think to me, that is a role. And Jim, you can touch on the 90% of the NBA is role guys. So, and it's the same way kind of, it's not necessarily it's not like that in the college, but like in a way it kind of is. I think you can look at the really good teams and like everybody has a role. At Buffalo was Dante Carruthers. He was like a human wrecking ball on defense, blowing up screens and stuff like that. He's as good as I've ever been around at stuff like that. And then here, obviously, Herb Jones, who was Player of the Year in the league and Defensive Player of the Year in the league, like he's that same way. Like he was an unbelievably dynamic player on defense. Talking about like covering the backside of a ball screen, covering two guys by himself, like easily, like on a day-to-day basis, he could do that. Guys like that are extremely dynamic. So I definitely think there's a place for that. And we look at, Coach always, when he comes back off the road, the biggest thing that can get you a red flag from Coach Oates is like, he doesn't have a high motor. He doesn't play hard enough. He's not tough enough. Like that's like, and you can tell that when they play. So, that has definitely separated some recruits from others for sure.
Yeah, I think toughness is all how you want to look at it. And I think a lot of coaches love the Iron Man drill that they have to do, take a charge down on the floor. And like that. That to me is not toughness. Like toughness to me is like, he's had a great player that I love, is CJ Massenberg. Like a guard that can rebound at a high level, like that translates to win. Like a guy that's, 6'3", that's willing to put his nose in there time and time again to battle big guys. Like that's the direct correlation, I think, to like what we call toughness. But like even toughness for me is like mental toughness and being in like defensive integrity, being in the gaps and knowing where you're supposed to be at all times, talking when you're supposed to talk, making the right calls. And it relates to being in the right proper conditioning. And, all that stuff plays into it. And I think if you have guys, the main thing is having a high motor and guys that are willing to do the hard things consistently, even if they're not getting the gratification, like sprinting to the corner. That's doing it every time. If you're not even getting the ball, that's toughness to me. And doing what's right for the team, even if you're not seeing individual accolades for it, that stuff really stands out.
Okay, what about like some of this old school stuff? I've worked for some legends. I'm thinking about Richard Schmidt at University of Tampa, who's been there for 30 years and is who knows how old he is. He's ageless, but Hall of Famer. And he used to, he couldn't take guys with skinny hips. His hips were too skinny. I don't like that guy because he wears black shoes. This guy's great because he's got big hands. Reach was a big thing. Some of these things, like I think they all have validity to them. But like, what are some? First of all, I want to know some like funny ones that you guys have heard. But also, like, are there any of those that you guys really buy into?
I think wingspan for sure. I think wingspan is definitely one that you have to look at. That's more important than height. How much it matters. To a degree, if a guy has a 7-foot wingspan, you're 6'11", like, are you splitting hairs or does it matter? I don't know, but that's definitely one that stands out.
Yeah, I've heard all those above mentioned. Big hands, small hands. I guess for a big, it matters. We actually have a kid with huge hands and a kid with small hands, and the kid with big hands can finish. The other one struggles a little bit to finish. So maybe that does have something to do with that. I don't know. I don't think we really pay too terrible much attention to. I do think I think our athletic trainer and our strength coach probably see that stuff more because like they'll do the wingspan test on the official, that type of stuff. I've heard the hips one, like if he's not very flexible in the hips, then that he's injury prone and stuff like that. I don't know. I don't think we pay too much attention to that. If the dude can run and jump and he can move laterally, like he's good for us,
For sure.
It's not wrong. Like that's the thing. Like you can't make this thing to be like a mathematical formula. Like you got to be able to, he can play. Yeah, he runs fast. He jumps high. Like I don't care if he has one hand smaller than the other. Like if he can play, he can play. Like I've heard is like a long neck. Like people look like he has a long neck, it's fake height. I'm like, well, okay, what's his wingspan? Like, because then like it doesn't even really matter. Like, you're not blocking a shot with your head anyway, so like the wingspan matters. Like, I don't care what your neck looks like. I don't know.
I've never heard long neck. That's hilarious. Fake height. Fake height.
Yeah, fake height.
The one I would believe in is the wingspan. That one to me translates, is something that we do measure for almost every kid that comes on campus.
Yeah, so for sure, wingspan, reach, that's an easy one. For Coach Schmidt, the hands was like the biggest thing. And like he would not take kids that didn't. It was every once in a while he would take a kid that was like maybe a Division I transfer that had small hands, but he'd bitch about it the whole time they were there. And but I will tell you this, like he's the best I've seen at like finding dudes out of nowhere that develop into really good players. And I think part of it is because he's got all these like things that he looks for. Yeah. And the hands thing to him was like, if you have small hands, you've got a ceiling on your potential. And when you get into traffic, whether you're a guard, a big, whatever, when you get into traffic, those hands are gonna like come into play when you can like control the ball and move around. Like, and I mean, obviously, like Michael Jordan had the best hands ever, and Kobe had amazing hands, like those guys. But of course, they probably have every intangible and measurable off the charts. The hips thing was like being able to get in a stance. If he's got skinny hips, he won't be able to get in a stance and stay in a stance. Who knows? I don't subscribe to all those things, but the hands thing, he did convince me for a little bit on. But I think like concentration can kind of get you over that too. Maybe you got smaller hands, but if you can concentrate and finish, that's part of it too, right? Who knows?
Yeah.
When you're around a guy like that, you just sit back and listen and enjoy it and soak it all in. All right, Coach Bowman, what's next for Roll Tide here? You guys are headed into the preseason, or you're in the preseason, a week into practice. Yep. How soon will you guys start scrimmaging? What type of stuff are you working on now in practice? Are you guys just putting in your stuff? Are you guys just competing? What's it looking like?
Yeah, I think the first 2 weeks, and we've already had one scrimmage, and we're actually doing another one on Friday. Coach likes to do the scrimmages. I think it offers a lot of time to test guys, how well they're in shape. Because when you do a scrimmage, you're playing with about 6, maybe 7 guys on each team. So guys are playing heavy minutes. So he likes to scrimmage early, and we actually have a secret scrimmage on the 15th with a unknown team. And then we scheduled our exhibition early this year. We're going like on October 24th with an exhibition. So then that'll allow us about 2 weeks to clean everything up before we have our season opener. With a younger group, we kind of thought that would maybe be the route to go. So that's what we did. So we're probably a little bit further ahead than typically just because we have a secret scrimmage next weekend. So we got to get a little bit more stuff in to be prepared for it. So we're working on we're going to start working on zone offense probably earlier than what we would want, just because, obviously we know the team and they'll probably play some zone. But really the first 2 weeks is all about our non-negotiables, like the sprint, stance, ball pressure, talk, rebound. Like those are our non-negotiables on defense. And that's really like if we can get our harp in on those 5 things and get our guys better at those on a daily basis and get them to understand the level they have to compete at on a day-to-day basis. I think that's like the goal of the first 2 weeks of practice. And then as we kind of go, we'll start to, install more stuff. But I mean, to be honest with you, during the summertime and in the fall, we do all team stuff. We don't really do I think we've done like 3 individual workouts in our time here, like where old school, where you put 4 guys in the gym and Coach doesn't really he's more about doing team stuff. Like if they're going to do individual stuff, it's on their own. It's, they work with a GA or, whatever. So anytime we get together, it's typically as a team. He believes in having live defense out there, 90% of the time to work on stuff, especially the passing and reads and the way we playing fast. It's really the only way you can simulate it is with live defense out there. So we're we have our base offense installed, our kind of what we we'll be doing most of the time. So that's been installed all summer. So it's really just cleaning up small spacing stuff, slashes, different stuff, offensively and defensively. But really, the main two goals, or the non-negotiables, are what we're trying to really get across in the first couple of weeks.
Yeah, I love that. And you guys do as good of a job as anybody at making teams play your style, your tempo, your pace.
Yeah.
So that early work of non-negotiables definitely shows up. Coach Bowman, it's a pleasure as always, man. Good to see you.
Hey,
Appreciate you jumping on.
Yeah, good seeing you guys, man.
All right, take care. All right, that was Adam Bowman, Director of Scouting and Analytics at the University of Alabama. Roll Tide. And shortly we'll be joined here by Trey Meyer. This is the Jimmie Oakman Total Takeover on all social media channels, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, all of it. Jimmie has taken over the airwaves for us this week. It's been a lot of fun. We've enjoyed it. And tonight, tell us what you're hosting tonight, Jimmie. 6 Eastern, what do we got?
6 Eastern, we are talking end-of-game situations, special situations, kind of preparing your team, just thinking about broad picture, what to look for, and then we'll kind of go into the process that I usually use when I'm trying to scout the opponent, thinking about their end-of-game stuff and, what I'm looking for and things that I can teach on the fly that I might be able to help my players out to steal a basket or prevent a basket.
Awesome. That's a members-only Zoom. Rising Coaches members, head to the members site, and you can get all the information, the Zoom link, and join us tonight. If you're not a member, head to risingcoaches.com. We're currently offering a free trial membership, so you can take advantage of that. The coupon code is Science of B-Ball, all lowercase, and that will get you access to Jimmie's Zoom tonight. Our 12 years worth of content that we built up, relationships that will last you a lifetime, and the Science of Basketball Conference next week, which we've announced today. We put out the full itinerary, all the speakers, the whole schedule is all on our website, risingcoaches.com. It's going to be an amazing conference. The topics, the speakers, the panels are really as good as anything we put together. Credit to Brandon Rosenthal and Andy Farrell on that. It's going to be a lot of fun. You don't want to miss it. And it's free. You sign up for your free trial membership. You get to attend on us. Hopefully we can convince you to be a part of Rising Coaches for the year. But if not, you just simply cancel your membership without being charged before your 17-day trial is up. So really, it's a no-brainer. It's a win-win. Head to risingcoaches.com for more info. Also, the Women's Empowerment Series wrapped up yesterday. You can watch the replay of those panels. We had athletic directors, administrators, head coaches, former head coaches, speakers, authors, all chiming in on how women's basketball coaches can position themselves to be successful and to get those head coaching jobs, and how to succeed once you get there, and how to negotiate contracts. And they really hit on such a wide array of topics that people don't usually talk about. As Daryl said, Daryl Jacobs, our executive director of the DEI Alliance, said last night on the Zoom, hey, this is something that people pay for, this information and this access, and we're giving it away for free. So you can watch both nights for free on our YouTube page at Rising Coaches, or night 2 is still on the front page of risingcoaches.com if you want to head there and check that out as well. Highly recommend it. In a few minutes, we'll be joined by the one and only Trey Meyer, head coach of Battleground Academy. And we talked a little player eval just a few minutes ago with Jimmie, and we talked with Adam Bowman on that as well, of Alabama. They really do as good of a job as anybody, I think, at like identifying what works for them.
They're probably one of the handful of teams, regardless of college level, that I've enjoyed watching. Men, women, D1, 2, 3, NAIA. It doesn't really matter. They're one of the few teams that I'm like watching each game, and I'm like, they know what they're doing, and they're playing the right way. They play hard. They space the floor accordingly. It's just a good brand of basketball to watch, and it's no surprise that success, has followed.
That's high praise from Jimmie Oakman, who doesn't
I love
really
it.
like college basketball anymore.
Big fan of Nate Oates. So props off to those guys in Alabama. They're getting it done. They do a great job.
Absolutely. One thing that was surprising, I mean, it is surprising, but not really. but that they don't really do much. I'm sure they do a ton of player development, but what Adam said was like during their allotted hours in the summer, they do team stuff and they don't do traditional like one-on-one skill development. Just curious, like, I know you're huge on player development, as are most coaches, but like when you're putting together a plan for a player, like where do you begin? Are you one-on-one with guys? Do you like small groups of 2, 3, 4? Just kind of break down like your player development philosophy for us, Jimmie.
Yeah, I'm big one-on-one. And hopefully I have other bodies there to help me too. But for me, I wouldn't say I struggle if I have like 2 players, but I feel like one is getting cheated out on a certain drill because it might not be exactly specific. It's somewhere toeing the line for both of them generally that they both need to work on, but one guy might need more of a focus on something else. And it's hard to do a lot more teaching when there's 2 guys because then it cuts the rep time down. So I love going one-on-one with guys, getting them comfortable, just, hearing how I'm trying to teach them so they can understand and feeling really comfortable with me and being vulnerable when we're on the floor and that they can try things without feeling repercussion for missing a shot. Because they're not going to want to miss a shot in front of their boys or like do something that's going to make them look foolish. Like nobody is really used to that. And so you're trying to get them to feel comfortable learning and growing and pushing beyond their limits. So one-on-one setting is really valuable for me. And then, then you watch them play and then you break the film down, then you show them the film and you go back on the floor and you rework on stuff. And that's where I've seen the best development for my guys. I think they probably agree that it's better going one-on-one, at least the guys that I've worked for. Now, not that like, I do some fun stuff when you have like 3 guys you can compete and it's like a little bit different, but it's less teaching and less skill focus, I would say. But one-on-one is where it's at for me.
Are you doing like if you get a new player into your organization and it's day 1 with them, like where do you start? Are you just putting them through some basic drills to kind of get a gauge, or are you asking them what they want to work on? Like, how do you begin?
So I try to do as much homework as I can. So if I get like a brand new guy, especially post draft, I'm going back to watch his college film or wherever he was and trying to find out what he's about, like where his game is, where his holes are, what his strengths are, what he's said about his game himself. I'll talk to him before we go on the floor. I'll be like, well, we're going to, we got 30 minutes on the floor today. What would you want to accomplish today? Where do you want to work? What are you thinking? I'll have my own plan. Hopefully they somewhat align. I'll do some of what he wants to do. But I think you really just got to make them feel part of the process of their development. Take the development into your own hands. I'll do some basic stuff around the rim, some finishing stuff with the guys, just to get them comfortable, see what they can do, see what they can handle, and get them moving a little bit, see how they're shooting the ball, and then we'll kind of go into more positional specific stuff too. He's a more ball handler, more catch and shoot guy. We'll mix it up, but I think you got to really do your homework, and I think you got to come in with a thorough plan and be ready to adjust because anything can happen. And you want the player to feel like he's in good hands.
In the off season, Jimmie, how much are you working on what their role will be for you? So, for instance, if it's just a 3-and-D guy or something, or a 5 that just needs to finish in the dunker spot, like how much are you working on that, and how much are you, trying to expand their skill set or help expand that role and work on things that maybe wasn't what they were expected to do in a game?
It's really hard since coming to the professional game to stretch a player because we don't have the time with them in the off season like you might in college. Like we don't have there's no summer like with our guys. Like they're kind of off on their own at this level. But there's some guys for sure that you do have time. Like the way I've always kind of subscribed to the notion is like 80 to 85% of the workout is going to be definitely kind of my imprint on it. But I also want to give them some time. So if we had a 40-minute workout, like 32 of the minutes I'm going to devote to getting you better in your role, maybe expanding a little bit beyond what you're good at right now and pushing you beyond those limits. And then maybe like 8 minutes, I'll be like, what do you want to do? And as long as it's not like him taking half-court shots, like whatever you want, big man, you want to shoot threes, let's have at it. Like, let's do it. A guard want to go down the post and work on some footwork stuff. Cool, let's do it. Within reason, I think that's beneficial and it kind of lets them create ownership and you get buy-in and, maybe you never go back to it again and don't give them the benefit of the doubt, but I think they like that. So I would definitely use that, especially if it's the college game and have a prolonged time to work with these guys.
Are you interacting with their trainers? You know, most of these guys, especially at your level, probably have somebody that they work with in the summer, a
Yeah,
skills coach, player development coach. Are you in
for sure.
contact with them? Yeah.
For sure. I think the better ones do, and they're very mindful of it. I had one guy that I've worked with. It's more the guys I'm specifically responsible for, and I tell them like this is what you should be working on in the offseason. We give them kind of a whole plan. The good trainers do reach out to you and want to know because maybe the players don't give them all the information. Maybe they don't want to work on something they should be working on. The trainer, which is that's up to them too. That's still your development. Good trainers do, and I think good trainers need to study the game. And I don't see like no, I'm not going to knock on trainers, but like every single drill I've ever seen out there, the ball's in the player's hands. Like every single one. Like, listen, there's 9 other guys on the floor too. And the game grows, like we said, on like Bowman was saying, like 90% of the game is role players. And so if you're not developing a role with guys, like it's great to, in and out step back threes and all that stuff. I get it. But that's not real player development. Are you developing guys for the system that we're going to be playing in? Are you talking about what offensive actions we run, what we call things, how you can help them grow the mental part of the game too? Because the physical component is everybody at this level is talented. It's all the other stuff of how you use that talent where player development gets completely missed with a lot of the trainers out there.
How much are you like staying with the same drill till they like really, really master it? Because this is what we do and this is what you're expected to do. And this is where you're going to get your looks in our offense versus like mixing it up and keeping it interesting and keeping them, from being bored.
I think so much that if I had to put like a number on like drills that I would have in my workouts before when I was in the college game, it would be like, an hour workout and I have 6 drills or something. Just roughly. Now my workouts are roughly 25 to 30 minutes and I probably do 25 different things. And it's really like we do a rep, he nails it perfectly and runs through it right. It's a 3-shot package that we have and he hits all shots and he's in fluid, he's ready to go. I'm moving on to the next one. Let's go. Like we're going to move on the fly. And I think you have to be that way. And that's why I think you need a very cohesive, long drawn out plan for what could happen. When to cut a drill short. We're not going to have, we're not going to the corner, make 10, sit there and fire them off the court. I'm never doing that. It might be fill out to the corner, catch and shoot 3, shake up, run through the pass and the move, finish against a live defender, finish in the other corner, catch and shoot, and then, very something similar. But I'm always trying to, it's going to be within the flow of the offense too. And it's a process to develop a plan, but it's really beneficial if you put the time into it.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. The last thing I want to ask you is like, what the hell do you do with 5 men? Like, I'm not talking Joel Embiid that like actually scores this back to the basket, but like, like your typical traditional NBA 5 at this point that is like pick and roll guy and sit in the dunker and finish above the rim. Like how many like freaking like drop off dunks can you really do in an hour workout?
I love working with 5 men. Honestly, that might be my favorite thing to really work with. And ironic because I'm not, not a monster out there either. So it's fun though. Like I think you got to find ways that what puts them in position that can be a compromising position, right? Like it's easy to just, someone drives in the dunker, you just go up and dunk it, right? So I think you're trying to work with them in situations like getting in a short roll, being comfortable around players, not turning it over, not exposing the ball, being able to find the help, understanding the reads. I think so much of it becomes more the mental side of it, like knowing the defensive rotation. If you short roll, you're open because the big was up. Well, all right, who's the low man that's going to come tag you? Which guy are you reading defensively? You already got to know that before you set the screen. Like who's going to be the guy that's playing 2 on the backside? And so when you get it, can you look him off and make the right read? And knowing like for us, the corner 3 is more valuable. So can you look him off, look at the slot, get him to bite that way and throw it to the corner? And we'll have live defenders out there too and challenging the passes and making sure they're on the money. Do a lot of stuff with finishing around contact, same thing, footwork in the short roll, pivoting, not traveling, really refining the very fundamental basics of basketball. And a lot of these guys like have always been big men, so they've never really had to work on, these guard skills and making reads in tough situations. I try to work with the guys on passing a lot, 1 hand, 2 hand, sitting at the elbows and firing to the other corner on target. And just keeping it really sporadic, it's really random for these guys. So, I'm not like, all right, go 20 passes. It's like, you bounce, pass, you get another pass, you get a bounce, finish over a defender, go to the dunker, and make a play from there. But big are fun. And you still want to work on the perimeter skills too. Like a lot of stuff is 5-out now too. So how well they execute dribble handoffs, how quickly they can read screens. And that's why I think development for 5-men needs to have live defenders, because if you just go through a 5-on-0 offensive play and they're just going to go dribble handoff, it's going to be like there's nothing for them to read. If a guy's going over the screen or under, it's completely different and it looks different. The guy goes under, you got to rescreen. So teaching them in the moment, I think a lot more goes into it rather than just like, all right, roll, lob. I love that part of it, and it's challenging and it's fun because you get to throw lobs and have fun with them. But I think you got to get creative with bigs. You're muted.
Thank you. How's your lob pass game, Jimmie?
I think I surprised some people, not going to lie. I was like, I don't know why you were surprised I throw lobs. Like I was like, I'm never up there finishing them, so I have to be able to pass them. So
that's funny. I love it. I feel like that's a mark of a good player development coach, is being able to put it on the money with lob.
Yeah, a lot of passes coming from this way over the last whatever amount of years we coached. So
for sure. Well, Jimmie, we appreciate it, man. It's been fun as always. Trey got caught up. We're going to try to catch him again tomorrow. But I'm going to give you, I'll just end with this. I'll answer the poll question with the story that I was going to share. So Josh Pastorino was an assistant at Clemson with Trey and I. And he had a rule after a loss, like you could show up and be in a shitty mood the next day, but by noon the next day, you had to be done with it. So you could have a negative, he would call it a negative morning. So it'd be like, all right, it's negative Monday. It's going to be a negative morning. And then you go to lunch and you come back and you better have a good attitude. So that is something I had tried to adopt that I loved because you by the time you get to practice the next day, you better be like, you can't still be moping, right?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. That's you can't be that guy. You can never be the negative guy.
Yeah, so there's a good rule of thumb. You can have a negative morning, but by lunchtime, you got to be over it. So, but Jimmie, it was fun, man. We'll see you again tonight, 6 Eastern.
Yeah.
Special situations, end of game situations. Head to the member site or sign up for a membership to get access to that. And Jimmie, it's been a pleasure, man. We'll see you again tomorrow, same time, same place.
Yep, live from New York, back there.
Back in New York. All right. Thanks, Jimmie. Thanks, everybody.
See ya.